But we can't really forget the fact that this is a historic moment. I mean, she's a black woman leader of the Conservative Party. I mean, happened to be in Nigeria, which is her country of origin, about a month ago. And they were telling me that they couldn't possibly believe that this would happen because, Britain was far too racist, the Conservatives were far too racist and backward-looking and colonial-minded, and they just simply couldn't believe that Kemi Badenoch would be elected to this position.
What does it say about Britain, about the Conservative Party, that this has happened?
I think it's a remarkable...
What's frustrating, right? So I'm going to play you a clip by Ali Mirage here, which is essentially saying that the Tories have had multiple minority leaders and Labour haven't, and then he discusses it. Let's have a listen to what Ali Mirage had to say on this issue about the Conservative Party electing a black woman to be the leader.
For the socialists out there who obsess about the first black this, the first woman this, the first Asian this, the Tory party...
I mean, do socialists obsess with this? Do they? That's mostly like an FBP liberal thing. It's mostly like a liberal identity politics representation thing. Now, I think representation is good. I think it is good that we're a country in which we can have a British Asian Prime Minister and now a black woman being the leader of the opposition, right? I think these are good things. I wish their policies weren't sucky. I wish their actual politics was beneficial to these minority communities. But the basic level of representation is a good thing. But I'm not going to talk about it like it's somehow groundbreaking or as if it's more important than their policy, which is what he seems to be suggesting here, right?
Has beaten you on every metric when it comes to diversity. Now, just let that sink in for a second. The racist Tory party has had 3 female prime ministers. Yeah, I know one only lasted 49 days. Okay, we're still counting. We're still counting it, all right, for this purpose. 3 female prime ministers. The first Jewish prime minister, okay, he converted, but he was Disraeli. You've had the first black foreign secretary, James Cleverly. You've had, I can't count how many Asian chancellors. You've had Rishi Sunak, the first Asian Hindu prime minister of this country. And you now have the first black woman of Nigerian descent running the so-called racist Tory party. Now, you just tell me. I mean, that is really interesting, right? Now, I know it's difficult for the socialists to swallow this, and they'll all say, well, she's an Uncle Tom and she's a coconut, and every black or brown person...
No, I just think she's a bellend. I think her policy sucks. I'm not going to use an epithet to describe her or say that she is a, skinfolk and kinfolk or whatever. It's not my place to say, but her policies suck. Is she actually going to do anything to benefit these communities through policy? Well, no. Like, the biggest thing that affects people from minority communities is being part of a class minority, especially if you're Muslim in this country, which, of course, that's somebody who Kemi Badenoch's pretty racist against, people from Muslim backgrounds, right? You're talking about inferior cultures and all that kind of malarkey. But regardless, the big thing that affects these communities is they're from poor communities. What would Kemi Badenoch's thatcherism do to poor communities? Well, the same thing that thatcherism did to poor communities in the 1980s. It destroyed them. And she would do the same again if she was Prime Minister. Is she going to do anything to help these people? Well, no. And that's where the crux of the policy lies. Rather than this representation liberal guff that he is ascribing to socialists that is actually very liberal in nature.
And the entire nation must have a singular view on everything to do with black or brown people, which I think is completely racist in itself, by the way. But just ponder on this. On every single metric of diversity, you've been found wanting by the racist Tory party.
The idea that the Tory party aren't racist is ridiculous. Of course, they were the ones who were running on the platform of, if you want an N-word for a neighbour, vote Liberal or Labour. If you're already burdened with one, vote Tory. That was their literal policy platform. They are the policy of the original Enoch, the even worse Enoch, the bad Enoch we have today. They were the ones who had to get, potentially, all of this was scrubbed clean because the HRC was a Tory front anyway, but they were going to be investigated for Islamophobia, which is clearly something that their party has in droves, right? Listen to the kid speaking to Owen Jones at the conference saying, like, great replacement style stuff, okay? Like, it's clear that their racism is there. It's clear that it's there, and whether or not that they select a particular leader from a certain background, that makes no difference to me as for the crux of the things that they believe and the policy that they espouse. And that's why representation politics is pointless. It's completely pointless in terms of whether or not the actual policy has a an equalizing effects on racial disparities in this country, which is the real crux of the argument. And the second thing I'll say, the second thing I'll say on this too, is that they always go with, well, the Tories have beaten you to the punch, or they've beaten Labour to the punch. I'm not a Labour supporter, but, they've beaten Labour to the punch and all of these different things. And that is because of one very, very specific fact. If the Labour Party did it, they'd be called woke. It's true. Like, if you're watching this and you're a right-leaning person or whatever, like, you know full well that if the Labour Party or the Green Party or the Liberal Democrats made a woman or someone from an ethnic minority background, or even a transgender person, right? If they made a transgender person the leader of their party, if they did that, the immediate response would be, oh, it's DEI. They're doing it for DEI. Because, of course, only the Conservative Party, which is the party of moral responsibility, of personal responsibility, the party of meritocracy, only they are the ones who can judge people purely on merit rather than because of their background or the colour of their skin or their gender or whatever, right? So they would only assume, if it came from a perceived left-wing party, such as the Labour Party, like to perceive to be the left-wing part of politics, or to the left of the Tories anyway, if the Labour Party did it, the immediate response would be, they're only doing it because they want to have representation because it's DEI. How do you know they're qualified? The Labour Party are only doing it because it's DEI. They're a diversity hire. It's representation politics for the sake of representation politics. When the Tories do it, it's justified meritocracy. And if you disagree with this...
Fucking neoliberalism.
If you disagree with that assessment, you're wrong. Like, I'm sorry, you know that I'm right. As soon as Labour Party have somebody who's not a white man as their leader, it's instantly, because it's been so much of this rhetoric, as Ali Mirage says, is about how they've never had a female leader. They've never had a non-white leader. I've had a Jewish leader, but that's as far as it goes in terms of ethnic minorities. As soon as they did, they would instantly get accused of only doing it to try and buck that trend. It's so obvious that it would instantly happen. It would instantly happen, saying, oh, well, you're only making a woman your leader of your party because people criticise you for not doing it before. So therefore it's DEI, it's a diversity hire. It's as simple as that. Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership. It's just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.